The toilets we have in our homes are easy to take for granted. After all, they're just something we use every day without giving much thought to how they work or where they came from. And while they're not exactly complex pieces of machinery, it's hard to imagine life without them now. But did you know that the Romans invented some of the earliest modern-feeling toilets? Surprisingly, Roman toilets weren't that different from what we have today. They even had flushing toilets with running water. In fact, many ancient Roman cities had advanced plumbing systems that would make any modern plumber proud. And unlike their Greek counterparts, Romans didn't see indoor plumbing as a luxury reserved only for the wealthy. Instead, they wanted everyone to have access to it. You could find free public bathrooms in taverns, marketplaces, and even roadside inns. Most free public toilets were simple affairs with a hole in the ground and a small pool of water nearby for cleaning yourself afterwards. Still, these were more hygienic than the typical Greek bathroom, which was usually nothing more than a rock monolith in the corner of a room. You might think your bathroom is disgusting after you forgot to flush once, but at least it has running water. Emperor Nero even built public toilets in taverns and inns along the road between Rome and Antium. These facilities provided travelers with food, drink, bathroom breaks, and lodging, making them the original all-in-one travel plazas. All these public toilets were designed with bells and whistles like bells to call attendants and even heating systems to keep things fresh. But if you were desperate for a bathroom break when you were traveling through the countryside, there were other options. The Romans had service stations along major roads where travelers could stop to change horses or chariots, and sometimes even rent boats to cross rivers or other bodies of water. These stations also doubled as toilets, so it wasn't uncommon for a traveler to relieve himself on the banks of a river before boarding a boat. That said, if you were out in the sticks, your best bet might be finding a tree to climb. Many travelers carried a small hatchet with them to carve out a perch about waist high. They'd then dig a shallow hole and do their business before climbing down and covering up their waist. If you want to learn more about Roman toilets and other ancient bathroom habits, keep watching. Emperor Nero commissioned the first public toilets with porcelain thrones, modeled after the Greek style. But as the Roman Empire grew, so did its plumbing infrastructure. Emperor Nero expanded the aqueduct system to bring fresh water into Rome and away from the city. He also built public baths with dressing rooms and communal latrines. Some public bathrooms even had their own dedicated aqueducts to supply fresh water for cleaning. The Romans preferred squatting while relieving themselves. That's why public toilets often included a bench with a hole in the middle. Emperor Nero's Golden House reportedly had marble benches with holes cut into them. Unlike the Greeks, who typically relieved themselves while standing up, squatting was easier and more sanitary, since it kept the user's clothes clean. The urine was also used to clean the body and the teeth, so keeping the clothes clean was important. Ancient Romans took great pride in their public works projects, including their public bathrooms. They understood that a healthy, clean population led to a more productive empire, so they made it a point to build toilets and baths throughout their domain. And while most of these structures were built by slaves, the toilets themselves were open to all. Generally speaking, the higher the status of the person using a toilet, the fewer people who shared it with them. A wealthy homeowner might have a luxurious bathroom attached to their house, while a lower status person would share a public toilet with dozens of other people. Toilets in taverns, inns, and restaurants were usually reserved for customers only. However, a poor person could pay a small fee to use a cleaner toilet in a bathhouse or a temple. And while the wealthy had toilets with running water, the poor often had to use communal outdoor toilets that were cleaned out once a year. Emperor Nero also built public toilets in taverns and inns along the road between Rome and Antium. These facilities provided travelers with food, drink, bathroom breaks, and lodging, making them the original all-in-one travel plazas. While it might sound gross to us today, it was common for families to use the same toilet for multiple purposes. Urine was often used for cleaning and even drinking. Public toilets were rarely cleaned, so they were often filled with garbage and human waste. It was not uncommon for people to use these toilets for urination, defecation, and even childbirth. They were also sometimes used for blood sacrifices, so they were often stained with blood. It was unheard of for people to die in these toilets from things like poisonous gas or simply being crushed to death. Despite the stench and the waste, the Romans saw these public toilets as a sign of a civilized society. They were a place where people could come together and take care of their business, both literally and figuratively. The Romans believed that a clean and healthy population was essential to the success of their empire, so they made sure to build public toilets and baths throughout their domain. While it might seem odd to us today, the Romans were surprisingly forward-thinking when it came to plumbing and public health. They understood that a clean and healthy population was essential to the success of their empire, and they made sure to build public toilets and baths throughout their domain. Emperor Nero even built public toilets in taverns and inns along the road between Rome and Antium. These facilities provided travelers with food, drink, bathroom breaks, and lodging, making them the original all-in-one travel plazas. So next time you use a public toilet, take a moment to appreciate the ingenuity of the Romans, who invented many of the concepts we take for granted today. From the squat toilets in the subway to the flushing toilets in airports, we owe a lot to the ancient Romans. But let's be honest, no matter how advanced they are, public toilets are still pretty gross. Just try not to think about the countless germs and bacteria that are probably lurking on the seat. Even if it looks clean, it probably isn't. And whatever you do, don't touch that mysterious button on the wall. Who knows what kind of horrors it might unleash? But hey, at least it's better than having to find a tree to climb, right? Just try not to think about the countless germs and bacteria that are probably lurking on the seat. Even if it looks clean, it probably isn't. And whatever you do, don't touch that mysterious button on the wall. Who knows what kind of horrors it might unleash? But hey, at least it's better than having to find a tree to climb, right? That said, if you're in the unfortunate situation of needing to use a public bathroom, it's always best to err on the side of caution. Be sure to wash your hands thoroughly afterwards and maybe avoid eating anything too close to the toilet. It's also a good idea to bring some sort of disinfectant with you, whether it's hand sanitizer or wet wipes. This way you can clean your hands, even if the bathroom doesn't have any soap or paper towels. And if you're really feeling brave, you could always sit on the toilet seat. Just be sure to bring some plastic wrap with you to cover it. Otherwise, you might be sitting on a literal throne of filth. In the end, toilets are one of those inventions that we take for granted until they break. So next time you flush the toilet, take a moment to appreciate all of the hard work that went into creating such a marvel of modern plumbing. And maybe be a little bit more grateful that you don't have to share a public bathroom with strangers. Now check out crazy facts about ancient Greek toilets or watch this video instead.